Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, September 28th, I'm going to say. 28th, I got it right. 28th, 2022. Welcome, everybody. It is chilly in the air here. It is marathon racing weather here in Chicago, which I will say with a bit of an asterisk because I don't think it's going to be ideal marathon racing weather for Chicago. I don't think it's going to be bad weather, but I don't think it's going to be ideal weather. Just letting that get out there so you guys can start mentally preparing for that. Today, I've got a new delivery here, a pair of shoes that I purchased myself. Just arrived today. UPS guy's real nice. I always, whenever, he doesn't always ring the door. Well, I think the UPS guy always rings the doorbell. And then I always go out there and give him a wave as he heads out. But he's a nice guy. And I dropped this off just a little while ago, so I'm pretty excited for it. It's a shoe that a lot of you guys have been asking me for. Mostly people in the UK have been asking me for this one so far, and I'll explain why once I open it, if it's what I think it is. I don't think I ordered any other shoe from Motorsports recently, so I have a pretty good idea what it is. But before I get to that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast, on the audio-only version. Hopefully you're having a wonderful long sleeves and shorts running weather kind of day. In my mind, it is some of the perfect running weather. And that's what we have here in Chicago. And everyone watching this on YouTube later after the fact, hopefully you had your long sleeve and shorts running weather day already. And now it's evening. It's chilly. Maybe you've got a nice hoodie on, drinking something warm before you head to bed, you know. There we go. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Let's see who we got here in the chat. We've got Frank, who thinks it's a Razor 4 or a Wild Horse 8. I've been trying not to be too hard on Skechers about it, but I've seen a couple of people that have the Razor 4, and I'm just like, I can't believe they actually made a Razor 4. I never thought they would get there. I kept thinking they would be like Razor plus Elite, like other words other than numbers, just no numbers, but they finally made it to a 4, so pretty excited about that. Innes thinks it's Crocs. Lou thinks it's Racer Crocs. And Melanie thinks it's Red Racer Crocs. It's not Crocs, everybody. Asiku Herbert says, hi, everyone. It's 8 p.m. in Kampala. Awesome. I'm not sure I know where Kampala is, I gotta tell you. Josh Logston thinks it's the SC Elite version 3. Oh, I wish it were. It's not. It's not that. Tracy Smith says, hi all, sign up for the Shakeout run. Looking forward to getting a chance to meet some of you in person. Awesome, Tracy. That's fantastic. Yeah, a lot of people signed up. We are nearing max capacity for this event. A lot of you guys are signing up. And that makes me very, very excited, but also very nervous. I was telling my wife about it. She's like, how are you going to get that many people to run together? I'm like, well, everyone's been on a group run before, so they all kind of know how it works, but we are going to take up a lot more space than usual. Although last year, I think we had like 80 people. So that was a lot. This year's even bigger. It's crazy. But hopefully it's going to be worth your while. Yeah, I think some people have messaged me saying that they're only coming to the pizza party afterwards. That's totally cool as well. Yeah, that's a very acceptable thing to do. So either way, come for the run, come for the pizza, come for both. Either way, if you come for both, if you come for the run, then you'll be in the group photo. So there's that, you know. Jonathan Crossley says, to everyone in Florida, stay safe. Yeah, I mean, that storm is gigantic. And I'm very nervous for you guys down there in Florida. My running buddy, his mom lives there part-time. She spends half the summer down in Tampa, half the year in Tampa, and half the year up in Spread Eagle Lake in Wisconsin, right along the UP. Yeah, so she's up at the lake house right now. So she's not in the path of the storm, but where she lives is in the path. So we're worried about that. He's worried about that. She's worried about it. So yeah, hopefully everyone has evacuated. I think it's hitting Florida right now, right? So hopefully you guys are all right. Mark Peterson says, yo, what's going on? I missed the last 2 days. Glad to be back. It's good to see you, Mark. Mark, are you coming down for Chicago? Or will I see you in New York? I don't know. When's the next time we're going to bump into each other? Jonathan Crossley says, I'll be there from middle of next week through the end of the year for work, it looks like. We'll take any running recommendations around the Orlando and Tampa areas. All right. Well, I think a lot of that will depend on what happens in the next day. But for me, when I was down there, I mean, I ran along the beach, and where I don't think we were, that was in Tampa. I was in, what was it? The town mascot is a pirate, like a Captain Morgan pirate. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was south of Clear. It was like it was in the Clearwater area, but that's all kind of similar area, right? I don't really know. You could look at Meb's. Meb lives in Tampa, right? I think you could look at his Strava to see where he goes. But I don't think he doesn't. He definitely doesn't post every day. Eric says, "What's up, everyone? Tuning in before I have to get to the dentist later." Oh, I mean, what's worse, having to listen to this and then head out early to go to office hours, or having to listen to this and then go to the dentist? Today, I rescheduled my COVID shot. I just don't have the card, so I'm assuming they'll still be able to give me a shot. Anyway, I'm just gonna go be like, I lost it. Here's my information for. I know when I took the other shots and which ones I got. I'm gonna bring my iPad and show them a photo of it and see if that'll be enough. But yeah, so I'll get that today. I'm gonna get a flu shot as well. So yeah. Louis says, "Yo, what's going on?" And JC says, "Loaned a running friend my Vaporfly Next Brand 2s for a 5-mile race. I love them. Felt they gave him at least 20 seconds more mile improvement." That's funny because I was just watching and I was just thinking about a video that I saw. I don't know if it's I don't remember if I saw it on YouTube Shorts or Reels or wherever, but it was about a guy who's saying like how fast are the alpha flies, and his test was I think this guy is a guy who had a lot of subscribers, but I don't think it was like a running channel. And the test was one day he ran like 7 miles in the Tempo Next percent. And like he showed his like average pace. It was pretty quick. It was like 6:30s. So that's a fast run. And then the next day he did another run in the alpha flies. And he's like, "Oh man, I just felt so much better, even though I didn't feel good that morning." And he ran his miles in like the low 6s. And he's like, "See how much faster it is?" I'm like, that's an interesting test. Like, it's good preliminary data. But I'm like, maybe I'm asking too much of social media shorts. But yeah. But part of that is, if you think you're going to do better, you're going to do better. I'm not saying that the alpha flies aren't demonstrably better than the Tempo Next percent. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just like an interesting way of testing. S.O.A. Carrere says, "Forecast rain for marathon day." And Sham says, "It's not a co-live stream about the coffee sip and the yo. It's line to start out." Yeah. I haven't seen any rain. So far it's been very, very dry, which is, means that there's probably rain in there somewhere. And it's too far out to really figure out rain, I think. I think I said it yesterday. I think a big thing is going to depend on the hurricane that's hitting Florida right now, where it goes and how long it kind of lingers across the United States. To see it. I mean, I don't think it'll give us rain, but it may affect other systems. And I'm the only thing, I mean, I think it's going to be in the 70s, high 60s or low 70s, based on what I've been seeing so far. And that's going to change a lot between now and then. But right now, if I were to wager, I would say it's going to be low 70s and probably a little humid, which I think is exactly what happened last year. Like 50s at the start, 70s by the finish, so it'll be nice for spectators, a little bit hot for runners. All right. Sean Devlin says, "Hey everyone, first run of the No Last 3 today. Nice bouncy ride. I do love the Mach more, but definitely a great shoe to have in the rotation for a smooth ride." Yeah, I like both of those shoes very much this year. I'd flip mine around, but if someone says they like the Mach 5, I'm gonna be like, also a really good choice. Looks like we got Alex Locke here. What's going on, Alex? Good to see you. Mika says, "Hello all. Hard trail threshold today. First proper test after COVID. 2 times 20-minute effort. That is no joke. 2 times 20 minutes. And 100 minutes total. That's a big run. testing new poles. So some nice climbing during the last 20 minutes as well. That's a lot. I mean, a trail threshold is like a whole different animal. I guess it shouldn't be because you're supposed to be running at a metabolic effort level, not a pace. But like just running hard on trails is a whole different thing. I feel like. All right. Let's see. Lucas H says, has anyone tried cane recovery shoes? Need recovery shoes but don't want slides? As sandals hurt my sesamoiditis. I don't know. I haven't tried cane. Ufos makes recovery shoes now too. They've been making them for a while. They all kind of look like orthopedic shoes. I just wish there was I don't know. Like they either got to go like the way of Crocs and just make them super goofy, or find a way to make them look less like recovery shoes. I don't know. That's kind of what I think about what is it? The Orca slide from Hoka. It's like it's in the wrong spot. It needs to either like look like more like a regular sandal or more like a Croc and just look like bubbly and weird. Instead they try to make it look like a running shoe, and I just feel like that's not right. But I think that shoe sells really well, so who knows. All right. Let's scroll down. I'm way behind you guys in the chat. But what I'm going to do is get this opened up because someone already has guessed it correctly in the chat as to what this is. I'm pretty excited about it because I've loved this series of shoes for a while now. I think the 17 was the first one that I really liked of it. So I've been running it in a while. I'm opening it this way very intentionally so I don't accidentally show like my address on the internet again. Let's see. All right. Here we go. All right. So we've got a pair of Sauconys. You know what? At some point, like a couple of years ago, someone was like, I never know how to say that word. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to say it? It's pretty obvious what it is. But anyway, apparently there's multiple ways that people are pronouncing it. But this is the Saucony Triumph 20. I'm pretty excited about it. I thought the Triumph 19 was good. Triumph 17 may have been peak Triumph. And then 19 was also really good. I'm hoping that we get kind of like a mix of 19 and 17 in this one. It's supposed to have a bunch more foam in it. It's still supposed to be lighter. It's a lot. You know what? Look at this. All these max cushion shoes getting less and less puffy every year. Our efforts are paying off, guys. Our efforts are paying off. This shoe has a lot of this kind of like, it's not fly knit, but kind of like these like truss type of like tension systems. And like this one in the back here too. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a pull tab or what's going on back here with this, but lots of power run in here. A nice deep channel underneath the heel. And there's a lot of it here, a lot of power run here. I went with the black one. I was also thinking about going with like there's like a yellow orange one, like a goldish color one. I thought I might go with that, but I went with the black. I felt like, I bought a lot of white shoes this year. So maybe I need to get some black ones back into the rotation. Here's the other one. It's got a really big landing area. I mean, I feel like I'm looking at this already, and if it's anything like what I think it is, I know pretty much, and I'm trying not to do this too much these days because sometimes it gets me into trouble. But I have an idea of what the review is already going to be like this. I'm going to like it a lot. I'm going to look at the foam and see how it looks a lot like Boost, and say this is what the Ultra Boost should be, because it's much better than the Ultra Boost has been. But I'm really looking forward to putting some miles in, especially since, I'm tapering now technically, but, Chicago will be one of 3 marathons that I do in the next 3 months. So I'm going to need a lot of cushion, a lot of pampering, a lot of very soft shoes. So I'm looking forward to it. Alex Locke was right. He said, I had a feeling. And you always know. So there we go. All right. CR is here and says, listening in after just finishing Beach to Buoy swim lesson, an intro to open water swimming. So cold. 40 minutes drive home now. Hot shower and food. Oh my goodness. After swimming, coldness is like next level. It's a totally different thing, isn't it? Javier says he's got 20 miles so far on the Triumph and he's giving good vibes from it. There we go. Luis says, I bought the 19 for like $76 and they're much lighter than the 17 I had last year. Yeah, I mean, the 17 was big and bulbous and it had lots of puffiness in the upper too, but it was nice. It was like a super squishy compared to the 18. The 18 had like it like really condensed the beaded foam and they did trim down the upper a little bit, but like it just felt like a stability shoe to me. And I just felt like there's something wrong with it. And then with the 19, they kind of fixed it. They took the stability out of it, it felt like to me. And I felt like, okay, this foam's loosened up a little bit now, and it feels like a tall stack height shoe with a lot of squish to it. And I really liked it. And so I'm hoping for good things from the 20. From what I've heard so far, it's really good. And then anytime I put anything in the last month, because I think the Triumph 20 came out in the UK last month, anytime I posted anything about like a tall stack height shoe and they're like, well, what about the Triumph 20? And I'm like, dude, guys, I don't get all the shoes early. Sometimes I have to wait till they come out and I have to buy them myself. So I have to wait for this one. But I bought it like I think I pre-ordered it so that way I'd just get here as soon as it could. So yeah, looking forward to it. But Louis getting the Triumph 19 for $76, that's a really good deal. Adam says, from Alex Hutchinson, the shoe cushioning paradox. Ignore everyone's advice. Each runner is unique, and the shoe that works well for your friend may not fit your foot. That's absolutely true. My running buddy and I have that issue, definitely. His favorite shoe is like, I think he really likes the 1080 right now. He enjoyed the Beacon. He also loves the Ghost. But I don't know. And yeah, I don't understand it. But, that's why, but what I also, sorry to pause right there because I'm like, what is the shoe cushioning paradox? Is that a book he wrote or an article he wrote? But I tell people all the time, it's a good thing that there's many reviewers out there because what you do is you find someone who has a foot that's similar to yours or likes shoes that you've liked before. And then you listen for the things that they don't like and see if you don't like them, you know what I mean? And then so you just like figure out, okay, if they like it, I'll probably like it. My example that I always give is Megan Murray. If Megan likes a shoe, I'm probably really going to like it too. If she doesn't like a shoe, I'm probably not going to like it. And that's pretty much how it goes. Thomas and I tend to have a little bit more differences. So this just happens sometimes. Luis wants to know, did they change the puffy laces? Yes. But they are stretchy. So these are the laces. They are not like big puffy sweat sponges anymore, but they're flat and a little bit stretchy. Or a lot of it stretchy. No, not too stretchy. So they're flat laces. So, I mean, as far as like junk in the upper, there's not a lot here. It's nice and stripped down. I feel like there is a lot of padding on the sides of the ankles, but in the back, there's not quite so much as there has been previously in this shoe. And I think that's good. A lot of times, Saucony shoes are just too hot to wear in the summer, in my opinion. This one, I think I could have wore this summer. I don't know. The way people are releasing the way brands are releasing shoes this year, I'm assuming a lot of it is, they're at the mercy of shoes on boats or shoes on ships. Boats, ships. And so they're getting here when they get here. But like, this is a shoe that they should have released this summer. The same thing with the Nova Blast 3 that we were talking about too. Like the Pegasus always comes out in like June, although this year it's been shifting earlier and earlier, which I think is a good move. It's like it came out in like mid-May or early May this year. I feel like those shoes need to be on the shelves for when people are like, oh, it's nice out now. I should probably start running again. Like a lot of people take most of the winter and spring off. And once it's really nice and hot out, then they start running again. That's when a lot of these shoes should be out. Asiko Hubert says, Co, what are you going to use in the Chicago Marathon? I originally was thinking I was going to use the Adios Pro 3, but I think right now I might use the Endorphin Pro 3 to test that as kind of a marathon race test. I think I'll save the Adios Pro 3 for Boston. so I can run in the Adidas shoe and the Adidas race. So I think that's kind of the plan for right now. JC says, starting to think that a 2-week taper makes more sense than 3 thoughts. I know as in most things, everyone is different. Yeah, I'll go you one further. I'll raise you on that one, JC. I think that every taper is different as well. So one of the things that I've been doing is putting my biggest run, like my peak week, 3 weeks out. And so that way, like the hardest run comes like three Saturdays or 3 Sundays before the marathon. And then that going from week 3 to week 2, I guess that's technically 3 weeks out, is still a full week, but I can adjust it depending on how beat up I'm feeling. And then 14 days out is my taper, although I usually do kind of 14 days of taper, but like I still did a workout like today, and I don't know if I'm 10 or 11 days out. I think I'm 10 days out. I did a mini workout today. I did 5 times 4 minutes at threshold. So it's a smaller workout. It was only like 8 miles total. So I started doing that, but the mileage is all down. Like last week was like 10 miles a day. This week's going to be like 9 or 8 miles a day. So it changes a little bit, just a little. So that's kind of how I do it. And I tailor it to basically how I'm feeling. But the thing that has worked well for me is to not stop doing workouts. They won't be as long. They won't be as rigorous as the ones that I did during the training block. But like, once I get to like, in that 14 days, the workouts, the volume just gets turned way down on it. Volume literally and figuratively, I guess. So yeah. So that's kind of how I approach it. But a lot of it just depends on how you're feeling. Hunter Holt says, any initial thoughts on the Tracksmith Elite shoe that was announced today? I really hope that I get a pair. I knew this was coming. Tracksmith didn't tell me. Someone else told me. But I knew it was coming, and I haven't tried the shoe. And I'm going to try not to have too many preconceived notions about the shoe. My gut reaction to this is that, like, I have a weird perspective on it because my life is as like a YouTuber or influencer or whatever you want to call it. But I know that a lot of people in this space love Tracksmith because then they can wear their Tracksmith stuff when they're reviewing other shoes, right? So if you're reviewing a Nike, Adidas, Saucony, Asics, whatever, you can still wear your Tracksmith stuff and like no one's going to be upset because you're not wearing a competing brand. Now that Tracksmith is making shoes, they're a more directly competing brand. And so like it's going to be like, well, I guess now I can't be wearing like, not that everyone's, sometimes people tell me or ask me very sternly, but so now it's harder to wear your Tracksmith stuff if you are in my very niche line of work. But I think that also has implications further down the line too, as think about all the people that work in these industries, in the running shoe industry, that like someone that works at Nike can't show up to work in Beaverton in like an Adidas hoodie, for example, right? They might have been able to wear, Nike's different because they make so much apparel, but like another brand, they might have been like, okay, you can wear your Tracksmith because they don't compete with us. We make shoes. Now they make shoes. So now they're competing, and so it might be like, I can't really wear that around the office. So that's the thing that I feel like they were killing it in the apparel space. I don't know that they needed to go into the shoe space. I'm not a business guy. I'm actually very bad at business. So, who knows? This might be a genius move, but it just kind of smells like Lululemon to me. So I hope it does well. I hope I love the shoe. I was super excited and frankly, when I got that Tracksmith box earlier this year, do you guys remember when I unboxed that? I thought that's what I was getting. But instead it was the Speed City collab, which was also quite cool. But I think making shoes is harder than a lot of people think. Hopefully they nail it. I wish them the best of luck. I hope I love it. And this could be like the beginning of like, do you guys remember when Tracksmith didn't even make shoes? Yeah, they used to be an apparel only company. Maybe we'll have that conversation in 5 years. But so far I'm like, it better be good because they're burning a lot of bridges, I think. Josh Logston says, going to use the Endorphin Pro 3 at Chicago. I would have never attempted it in a previous iteration, but I have 20 miles in these and should be good to go. SC Elite will be coming out too late to try. Yeah, I think the SC Late doesn't come out until after Chicago, and even then, I think it's going to be a super tiny release. I think the main push is until much later, but I mean, hopefully, I'll get it for New York, but we'll see. And yeah, I wouldn't try an Endorphin Pro 2 to run a marathon, even for one where I'm pacing and I'm running a little bit more of a manageable pace, or maybe especially since I'm not trying to run it super hard, I wouldn't want to use the Endorphin Pro 2. But Endorphin Pro 3, my hypothesis is that it's going to be a great marathon shoe. So it's time to put it to the test, you know? TriStar G says, Yo, Co. He says, it's me, Greg. What's going on, Greg? Good to see ya. Awesome. All right. Frank says, taper length is the sort of thing we need the data scientists at Strava to help us out with. It should have a statistically definitive answer. Yeah, you know, I think that what makes it hard is that like human beings are so variate. So it's like you could have the same athlete, like say me, coming into after the same exact 12 weeks of training and going into a taper. But depending on what those 12 weeks were, what happened before those 12 weeks, how much sleep I got during those 12 weeks, all those things can affect what I need. So I feel like, I mean, maybe if you have enough data, which Strava would be the only place that would have probably that much data, you can come up with some ideas that like a 3-week is better than a 2-week. But I don't know. I mean, how much of the data in Strava would be considered kind of like junk data from that perspective? If it's like, if it's your first marathon, like, do you want that included in the data set? First time marathoners, right? Like who probably are overtraining for their first one. Maybe doing too much volume too quickly, too much speed work with too much volume, you know, like, so that person needs a very different taper. That's why I think that makes it hard. Human beings aren't like lab animals that you can really make them constrained to choices and have that kind of control. It's really hard to tease out, I feel like. I don't know. CV76 says, you have to wear Wranglers when you review shoes. Well, here's the thing. So going to TRE, the running event in December, and my goal is to try and find a shoe to wear that isn't going to be represented by any of the brands that are there. So I've been like struggling I figured out which one I want to wear, and it's going to be a surprise. I got a surprise for you guys that I think you guys might like. But it took me a while to kind of narrow it down to what I wanted. I have it decided. I have decided now. I keep saying that in a way that makes it sound like I haven't, but I have affirmatively decided what, brand I'm going to go with. And it's a brand that's not going to be there. So, and it's not Crocs either, because I didn't want to wear Crocs like all day. I don't know why I don't want to do that. I mean, I guess if I could get the Salehe Bembry Crocs, then I would. But other than that, those are hard to get. So, yeah, because like everything you could think of, Vans, nope, that's owned by what company? The North Face, something like that. So like you can't do that. Like anything you can think of is owned by some other company that's at the running event. And I'm trying to find one that's not, so it's kind of like that same Tracksmith kind of issue. Sometimes it gets difficult because a lot of companies own many, many brands. Matthias Ventus says, maybe Ben in Minnesota has figured out the taper, as he's very analytical and ran a sub 3 in his first marathon. Maybe. Here's the thing, though. He ran a sub 3 in his first marathon, so it makes me wonder, like, these people that just naturally nail it the first time, maybe they haven't had a real bad... maybe he's never had a bad taper to understand, like, no, this is not the right way. I've had many bad tapers. So that's why I feel like it changes so much. Alex says, on the topic of Adidas, I love the Boston 10, love the forefoot impact, and worked well for me on long runs and tempos. Therefore, I should love the Adios Pro 3, right? Maybe a new race shoe. I would say yes. Alex, I think you're like one of the few people that I met that loves a Boston 10. I thought it worked well for 5K pace. but it's like it's not a 5K shoe, and it's, after all, it's called the Boston. So like I don't. Anytime that I would wear the Boston, I was like, I just would rather be in a Takumi Sen or the Adios Pro 2. I think the Adios, if you're a Boston 10 runner, then I think you'll definitely like the Adios Pro 3. But it doesn't go the other way around because I love the Adios Pro 3. I don't love the Boston 10. I haven't tried the 11, but I think it's pretty much the same shoe. But I would definitely go with the Adios Pro 3. If you're doing well in the Boston 10, you're gonna like it. I think like the foams are very different, but kind of like the angle of attack and everything, the way your foot's hitting the ground. A lot of that's going to feel very familiar, but you're just going to feel like you're on rocket fuel comparing the Boston 10 to the Adios Pro 3. Yeah, I think you would like it a lot. Jonathan Crossley says, any good non-plated shoes for tempos or interval work? Think you know more than moderate stack and reasonable drops? I think that like the Rebel 3 might be your choice. Mach 5 maybe. Because I think even most of the shoes that are labeled as like tempo shoes these days have plates. Like Hyperion Tempo, the Brooks shoe, doesn't have a plate in it. But like even like the Boston 10 has energy rods of some sort. I think they're plastic in that one. The Magic Speed has a composite plate. Like most of the shoes have plates in it. But for me, if I'm doing tempo work, interval work, I like to be in my carbon. And maybe it's because I love carbon plated shoes and I respond really well to them. And I also need to put in the miles for testing. So it's like I have many of them. And so like that's the reason why I'm in them a lot. But I do think that the Rebel 3 is a good option for that. For tempo, if I had to run fast in them, I think I'd pick the Rebel 3 over the Mach 5. The Nova Blast 3 would also be good. For tempo work, I might pick the Rebel 3 first of those three. Just because that fuel cell is really nice for that shoe. So, yeah. Stevie76 says, I'm going to show up to Thierry wearing Nike socks with Reebok shoes. Who's the coach that did that? He's an Adidas coach. He was a coach at a school that was an Adidas school. And then, is that what you're referring to, Stevie? There's a coach who was like a really famous cross country or track coach at an Adidas school, and he had Nike socks on, very conspicuous white Nike crew socks. You know, I don't know. Philip says, I wish Patagonia made trail shoes again. I didn't know they made trail shoes. Hunter Holt says, for my take on the Tracksmith shoe, he says, I believe in the runners reporting the Tracksmith shoe to cost $198, which seems like a stretch. I've seen a couple of different prices on the shoe. I think it's going to be, but is it a P-back shoe? I think it's a P-back's Daily Trainer, right? Yeah, I don't know. Will the Tracksmith die? I mean, it's kind of the Lululemon question. Will the person that has a Lululemon bra, the Lululemon top, the Lululemon leggings, and the Lululemon fanny pack, what is she going to wear for shoes? Lululemon, right? Doesn't matter what they cost. So, I mean, there's the kind of that. But I also feel like I thought with Lululemon, I felt like they were kind of jumping the shark with the shoes. You know? We were talking about Skull Candy yesterday. Remember that, guys? So it's kind of like, yeah. I don't know the thinking behind the Lululemon shoe. I've never tried I think it's a women's only shoe anyway, but I haven't tried it. But, you know, sometimes brands get to a point where they're like, you know, our customers will buy it. So let's put one out. I don't know that. I'm not saying that's what's happening with the Tracksmith shoe. It felt like that's what's happening with the Lululemon shoe. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, it's risky. It's real risky. Tracksmith's at the top of the game right now. I suppose to stay there, sometimes you got to take risks. So I don't know. Martha says, hi, everyone. Hi, Martha. On a short family trip and saw an ASICS store which just received the Nova Blast 3. Tried on and liked it. Half size down. They run long and will buy later. Awesome. You know, I know that Thomas likes his half size down. I think a lot of the Believe in the Run people like it a half size down. I like it the way it is. So, is it long? Yeah, it actually kind of reminds me of like the SL20 in the terms of the length. It's a little bit longer than it needs to be somehow, but when you're running in it, it seems fine to me. But I don't think that's wrong. Just whatever's comfortable. Calvin Hong says the trick for a taper is to do a 52-week training block, so no tapering needed. Well, I mean, if you're doing like the hella good kind of training plan, run every day, I guess there is no tapering. I think he tapers, but it's a little bit different for him. Santosh Katwal says, ran the Hoka half last weekend in the Endorphin Pro 3. Great shoe. Didn't have any complaints. Should work just as well for a full, I believe. The thing is, though, I ran the Endorphin Pro 2 in many half marathons. I love it for that distance, for the number 2. But I was like, I don't want to run. Like, if I would run like a 16-mile long run, and just my feet would just start to hurt. The Endorphin Pro 3, I don't think it's going to have that problem. Who was it? Greg Itahara put it in his story today. He was watching the news, and they covered it. The local news covered the Chicago half. The story that the race organizers and the city seem to be wanting to downplay is a suggestion that the finish line had to be moved at the last minute because of traffic due to the Bears game, which was also on the same day. That seems very plausible to me. Why they would move like the finish line. It's not like someone was like, well, yeah, sorry, like I submitted my plan on Friday, so sorry I was late. If you need me to move it, I will. Like, this course plan was approved a long time ago. Like, if I were the race director, I'd be like, we're not moving this finish line. It's been approved. It's been in the books like this for a month. If you want to move it, you're going to have to physically move it, officer, because I'm not moving this. Like that. I mean, that's just, I feel like that's how can you possibly guarantee, like, how could it's not even, it can't even be USATF certified if you've moved it and then there's no more recertification, you know? I mean, not that every race has to be USATF certified, but I mean, like, that just messes up a lot of stuff. Like, you can't just. So, like, I wasn't mad about it before. Now I'm kind of getting upset if that's what's going on. So, I don't know. It seems like there's more. I didn't think it was all that controversial. I was like, oh, man, they just messed it up. Just kind of like how they messed up the Milwaukee Marathon a bunch of times. By the way, did the Milwaukee Half Marathon and Marathon get canceled this year? Does anyone know? I was looking at that. Someone had sent me a charity runner request for the half marathon, and it took me a while to get to it. And I was looking at it. I think it was supposed to be this weekend. It's usually around Chicago Marathon time, and it looks like it was canceled because they couldn't figure out a way to do it safely. I don't know what that's a euphemism for, but I don't know. It was weird, really weird. Tracy Smith says, yes, Milwaukee canceled again. They're never going to run that race again. That race has been so played, which is a shame because running in Milwaukee is beautiful. You're running right along Lake Michigan, and it's so nice there. But I've never run that race, but I've been a couple times to Milwaukee. The area is really nice. I ran the Ragnar. I ran started in Milwaukee, ended in Milwaukee. Which one was it? Ended in Milwaukee. So yeah, I'm familiar with the area for both running and for just visiting. But that race got mismeasured like two or 3 years in a row, even though it switched race organizers in that time. Yeah. Adam says, am I really going to talk that way to a Chicago police officer? I mean, yeah. I mean, like, if you're going to, I mean, what, yeah. I mean, if he's going to arrest me, he's going to arrest me, I guess. But I'm not moving that. So, I don't know. Philip says, Alpha Flight 2 versus Adios Pro 3 for Marathon Race Day. I haven't run in the Alpha Flight 2 yet. I'm so disappointed in the colors that are coming out on that shoe. I'm waiting for like one that I think I'll like. I'm trying, I don't know. I don't know. People are so mixed on that shoe. Cara D'Amato did not run in an Alpha Flight 2 in Berlin. And she has now had plenty of time to practice running in that shoe. which was the reason she gave for running in the Alphafly 1 at World Champs. But yeah, I mean, Kipchoge ran in the Alphafly 2, so it's clearly not going to stop anyone from running a great race. But it's been getting some mixed reviews in my opinion, and I want to test it out. I'm not going to buy that ugly orange one, even if Kipchoge set a world record in it. I don't like the Volt one. I just don't like the way they're color blocking it. It's weird. I saw a black one. I don't know if that's out yet, but how do you mess up a black shoe? They messed it up. So I'll test it eventually. I might just have to bite the bullet and get a disgusting color, but I'll get it. But the Adios Pro 3, I think, is going to be a real good one. Calvin says, in a few years, the Bears games won't even be in Chicago, so no worries there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone else, if you guys outside of the region are like, have been hearing about this, but like there's a suburb that's kind of like halfway between Crystal Lake and Chicago that used to have a racetrack, Arlington. And I mean, the racetrack's still there, I think. I think it's closed down, but I think the facilities are still there. So they're trying to get the Bears to move over there. And it just feels like a threat, in order to get the city to pay for some sort of bond or something like that, to pay a billionaire family millions of more dollars to update facilities or something. Yeah, I don't know. So they're threatening that. I mean, these threats seem more legit, like more real than other ones that I've heard in the past. But so we'll see if anything changes with Soldier Field. Frank says, couldn't figure out a way how to do it safely equals the city wanted more money for protection than they wanted to pay. I have no idea, but that sounds reasonable. Yeah. Elliot 15909 says, thanks for your surprise for me yesterday, Mr. Kofuzi. I'm watching while enjoying my world record now. Who did that? Who did this? This is funny. It's 20109, isn't it? Not 15909, but that's pretty funny. That's funny. Tracy Smith says, so Kira D'Amato wore the 1? I missed that. Good to know while I'm currently overthinking. I'm almost positive that she wore the 1. I'd put money on that. Unless it was some sort of like secret version that had like version 1 coloring on a version 2, like, which doesn't make sense. But because the shoe's out now, sometimes I think brands will do that when they're testing out new versions. So that way people like me who are pixel peeping don't zoom in on the shoes too much. So I don't know. Mr. Random says, hey, hello, Kofuzi family. Anyone running London this weekend? Oh, man, I wish I were running London this weekend. Thomas and Megan are going up there. They're doing a shakeout with the Runner Beans, who I got a chance to meet in Oregon. We were on a shakeout run, and we're running in a group. I think Thomas, Megan, and I were taking pictures or something like that. And so we were rushing to catch up with the rest of the group, and then we're running next to this woman, and it's Charlie. So I was like, oh, hey, Runner Beans, what's going on? Because when we happened to already be talking about Tokyo anyway, and I was like, guys, in this group, Charlie's the only one that's run Tokyo, so we should ask her a bunch of questions. So it was good. I got a chance to meet her there. I've been following her on Instagram for a long time. But yeah, they're doing a shakeout. I have a feeling, based on the Tracksmith shakeout in Berlin that I saw, I have a feeling that this is a group that's going to roll like 200 deep. It's going to be huge, I feel like. It's going to be pretty amazing. So I think that 40's going out for that one too. So I think he'll be out there too. So yeah. And Calvin says, hey, Co, did you see the new Sony FX30 announcement today? I did. I think I'm going to order one tonight. Because it's APS-C, so my E-mount lenses will work. And then basically it looks like a Sony. I mean, the FX3 is nice. Michael over at Running Warehouse, he was using one and it looked pretty awesome. And originally I wasn't too interested in that one, but the FX30 has 4K 120 frames per second, and then I'd be able to still all use all my lenses. It has in-body stabilization, so I could also take that out and run with it on course and photograph runners in the marathons. So I'm thinking that's going to be it. I'm going to pick up that one. When does it come out? When does it start delivering, though? That's the thing I want to know. But either way, I'm super excited about that. I think I'm going to order it tonight. I think the ordering starts, at least according to B&H, starts at 9 p.m. Central Time. So I'll be there, click, trying to get that shoe. All right. Oh, Shannon says, I have 2 teammates running London, but my close friend it has the flu and may not go anymore. Oh, that's a bummer. Can you imagine that? Ugh. Calvin says, the Sony IBIS isn't the best, though, so hopefully you have stabilized lenses. My nice ones are some of them are not. Some of them aren't. I don't know if my zoom lens is. I think it is. It's are all the G series stabilized? I think that they are. So yeah, I mean, right now I've been using the Sony A60-100, which does not have IBIS at all. So I think anything will be better. Although some people say like sometimes the IBIS is wonky and makes everything super gummy, but you can turn it off in the FX30 if I understand correctly. So yeah, pretty excited about it. I don't think I think the thing is I don't think most people will notice, but maybe it'll result in some more usable photos when I'm super zoomed in. You know, sometimes it's hard to zoom in from really far away. All right. I think that's going to be a good place to leave it for today, guys. Oh, I told my wife that already it's going to be an expensive month, and that's before our new camera announcement came out. So I'm going to have to run that by her too, let her know that another big expense is coming through. Yeah, tomorrow, I think by tomorrow, I'm going to have another video. The Insta360 One X3 video is going to be coming out tomorrow. I don't love that camera, so I'll give you a little preview. And then we'll do another live stream. I got a bunch of new non-alcoholic beers to test out. So we'll maybe do a sampling of a few of those for tomorrow. So bring your recovery beverage of choice for happy hour Thursday. Same time as today, though, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.